The wind blew softly across the burnt land, ashes floating like snow in the air. The ground was broken, metal was twisted, and bodies were buried under dust. The war had ended here just 2 hours ago, but the silence felt older, deeper, human. Soldier Cole moved slowly, his boots crunching over debris. He was alone now, part of a scout team, but the others were gone, killed, or missing. His gun was low on power, his armor scratched and dented, but his eyes were sharp. He had seen war before. But something about this battlefield felt different. Like it still held a secret, still whispered danger. Then he heard it, a soft sound, barely there, a cry, not loud, not clear, but real. Cole stopped, listening, the wind howling behind him. Another sound came, like a sob. Then silence again. He raised his rifle and moved toward the broken hill where the sound had come from. Smoke curled from a half-buried escape pod. The hatch cracked open. He stepped carefully, expecting traps, expecting death, but inside, he saw something that froze him in place. An alien woman, lying on the floor, her body torn and bleeding. Her skin was pale blue, stained dark with blood. Her arms wrapped around something small. Trembling, it was a child, a tiny alien girl, no older than 5. She looked up at Cole with wide, wet eyes. Her lips quivering but silent. Cole lowered his weapon slowly, his voice calm. "It's okay," he said softly, even though he wasn't sure it was. The mother opened her eyes, weak and shaking. She looked at Cole, tried to speak, but only blood came first. Then, with great effort, she whispered 2 words in broken English. "Protect." "Child." Cole knelt beside her. Shocked, she tried to raise her hand, placing it on her daughter's head. Then looked at Cole again, her eyes begging him to listen. "Promise," she said. "One last breath." And then she was gone. The girl didn't scream, didn't cry louder. She just clung to her mother's lifeless body, holding on with tiny fingers. Cole felt something tighten in his chest, something heavy. He had seen soldiers die, but this was different. He had no orders to take in survivors, especially not alien ones, but something in her eyes reminded him of his own niece back on Earth. Innocent, scared, small. Then suddenly, a red dot appeared on the wall behind him. Cole spun around laser sight. Someone was aiming at him. He grabbed the girl and rolled behind the wrecked pod just as a shot blasted near. The enemy wasn't gone. They were watching, waiting to finish what they started, and now they had seen him with the child. Cole pressed the girl to his chest and ran. Blaster fire followed, hitting metal, rocks, and dirt. His legs burned, but he didn't stop. The child made no sound, not even a scream. Just buried her face in his shoulder. He reached an old tunnel and slid inside, hiding in the dark, breathing hard sweat on his face. He waited and listened. Footsteps passed above, then silence again. He looked down at the girl. She had passed out in his arms. Tired, cold, maybe hungry, but alive. Cole whispered, "I don't even know your name." He touched the pendant around her neck. It glowed softly, pulsing like a heartbeat. He didn't know what it meant, but he knew it mattered, and someone was hunting her for it. He leaned against the wall and looked out into the broken world. He was far from home, low on supplies, and now carrying a child. But he had made a promise. Even if no one had heard it, a mother's last words, a simple request: "Protect my child." And now, this human soldier would do exactly that, no matter who tried to stop him. The tunnel was damp and cold, water dripping slowly from the cracked ceiling. Cole sat in the shadows, holding the alien girl close, her small body shaking. The child had not said a word since her mother died. She just stared at the floor, or at him with big, silent eyes. No tears now, just silence. A deep silence that felt heavier than the war above. Cole had seen silence like that before, soldiers who lost their squad. Children rescued too late. He didn't know how to help, but he knew one thing: he had to keep her alive. He adjusted the thermal blanket around her shoulders, trying to warm her up. Then he peeked outside the tunnel. The sky was orange with smoke. The ruins above shifting with movement. Enemy patrols were still out there, hunting, scanning, listening. They weren't searching for loot. They were looking for her. Cole turned back to her and whispered, "We can't stay here." He pointed to himself. Cole. Then gently pointed to her, hoping she'd speak. She looked at him, blinked slowly. Then looked away again. No sound, no name. Cole sighed. "Okay, little star, until you tell me different, that's what I'll call you." They moved quietly through the lower ruins, keeping two shadows and narrow paths. Cole used old combat tunnels, forgotten by most. He knew this zone better than the maps. He'd fought here months ago when the first bombs fell. Now it was all dust and death, but it was home for rats like him as they moved. Cole saw strange flashes in the sky, search drones, small, fast, and deadly. They scanned heat, sound, even heartbeats. He pulled the girl into a wrecked building and covered them with thermal cloth. Her pendant started to glow faintly again. He stared at it, frowning. "What are you?" he whispered. It didn't answer, but the glow faded slowly, like it knew danger was near. The girl looked up at him, her eyes wide. He whispered, "Do you know what that thing is?" She touched the pendant gently, then held it tight to her chest. "Still." She said nothing. Cole nodded slowly. "All right, keep it safe." He didn't understand her silence, but somehow they were beginning to understand each other. Hours passed before they reached a safer place, an old survival shack. Underground. He opened the door, checking every corner before entering. It wasn't much, but it had clean air, food packs, and water. He set her down gently on a soft mat. Handed her a warm drink. She took it with both hands and sipped slowly, her lips cracked. Her fingers cold, but still, she didn't speak. Cole opened a food pack. Something soft and sweet, apple paste. She sniffed it, then took small bites, watching him with cautious eyes for the first time. She didn't look like she might run. He smiled softly. "See? I don't bite." She stared. Then slowly, barely a whisper, she spoke. "Cole." His heart skipped. She remembered his name. "Yes," he said. "Ah." Nodding, "I'm Cole." She pointed to herself, paused, then whispered, "Nia." It was soft, broken, maybe even a nickname. But it was something Nisha. Cole repeated, smiling. "That's a beautiful name." She gave the tiniest nod, then returned to her food. But the peace didn't last long. The power flickered, lights dimmed, and a red light blinked on the wall. Motion alarm. Something was moving outside the shack. Cole grabbed his rifle, pulled Nisha close, and whispered, "Quiet." He shut down the lights and peeked through the crack in the door. A drone hovered outside, scanning the area. Its red eye glowing, its claws twitching. Cole knew it could sniff out biosigns in seconds. He looked at Niyashi, was shaking again, clutching her pendant. The pendant glowed once, softly, and the drone paused. Then, strangely, it floated away. Cole blinked, confused. Did that thing ignore us? He turned to Nija. "What is that pendant?" She just held it tighter and curled up in the blanket. Cole sat beside her, watching the blinking lights on his scanner. The enemy had tech he didn't understand, and the girl had something they feared. That much was clear now. He knew he should report it. Call command, request extraction, but every instinct told him not to. Command would take the girl. Run tests, break her apart. They would call it research. But Cole had made a promise. "Protect my child," the mother had said. And now, that child had a name, Nia. So Cole leaned against the wall, rifle close. He would wait for morning, then move again. He didn't know how long they could survive. But one thing was certain, he wasn't leaving her behind. Morning came slowly, light creeping through the broken cracks in the ceiling. Cole opened his eyes first, his body aching from sleeping on stone. Beside him, Nisha was curled up in the blanket, sleeping peacefully at last, for the first time since he found her. Her face looked calm, like a child should. Cole sat up quietly, checking his rifle, then looked at the small stash of food. Not much left, just 3 packs of protein and 2 bottles of clean water. He would have to find more soon, but not today. Not yet. He opened a ration and heated it over a small plasma flame. The smell of warm food filled the air, and Nia slowly woke up. She blinked, rubbed her eyes, then sat up. Looking around as if unsure where she was, Cole smiled and offered her the warm pack. "Here, breakfast." She took it slowly, her fingers brushing his, then sat cross-legged and began to eat. Her eyes never left him, but now they were less afraid, more curious. Cole opened another pack for himself, biting into it without much thought. Soldier food didn't taste good, but it kept you alive after a while. Naja pointed to the heating unit and tilted her head. Cole realized she wanted to understand. He picked it up and showed her how it worked, using simple words. "This," he said, "hot," then tapped his fingers to show heat. She nodded slowly, copying the motion with her small hands. Her mouth moved like she was trying the words silently. Cole grinned. "You learned fast." Naya smiled just a little. But it was real. They spent the rest of the day hiding underground. Cole used the time to teach her simple words: food, water, danger, run, stop. She repeated them, one by one. Slowly, but with growing confidence, he also learned a few of her words. Though her language was soft and strange, when she said Maya, she pointed up to the sky. When she said Tara, she touched the pendant on her chest. Cole guessed Maya might mean home or stars, and Tara could be her mother. He didn't ask more, didn't want to push her into pain again in the evening. They moved from the shelter. The scanners were too hot in that zone now. More drones were flying overhead. Cole carried her in his arms as they moved through the rubble and ruins. She clung to his chest without a word, resting her head against him. Every now and then, she would whisper Cole, like it made her feel safe each time he heard it. Something stirred in his heart. He wasn't just a soldier anymore. He was someone's protector now. They found an old market bunker, half buried in sand and debris. Inside were broken shelves, rotting crates, but also a few sealed boxes still intact. Cole pried one open and found water packs, dried fruits, and 2 cans of solar bread. He laughed. "We're rich now," Nija tilted her head, confused, but smiled when he handed her a piece of fruit. She bit into it and giggled softly, her eyes lighting up with joy. It was the first sound of happiness she had made since he found her. That small laugh made Cole feel like the whole war had paused for just one breath. That night, as they sat near a weak fire, Naya surprised him. She pulled out her pendant and placed it between them. Then, using both hands, she touched the pendant and said softly, "Tara." A faint blue light shone, and suddenly a hologram appeared to her mother's face. The same woman Cole saw dying in the wreckage. The mother began to speak in her alien language, her voice calm. Naya watched the projection with silent tears in her eyes. She repeated the words quietly, like she had heard them 100 times before. Cole couldn't understand, but he didn't need to. It was a mother saying goodbye. The hologram ended, and Nisha looked at him, her eyes full of something deep. She reached out and placed her small hand on his. "Protect," she said, repeating the last word her mother had spoken. Cole nodded, voice low. "I will." He didn't know what dangers were coming. He didn't know why the pendant mattered or why the galaxy wanted her. But he knew this: he wouldn't let her face it alone. Later that night, as she slept beside him under a blanket of stars and ash, Cole stayed awake, watching the shadows. He was just one man, far from command, low on ammo, but he had a promise to keep and a child who finally trusted him. And sometimes that was enough. The wind outside was sharp that morning, carrying sand and smoke through the ruins. Cole woke early, checking the skies with tired eyes. Naya was still asleep, curled up under the blanket, the pendant resting on her chest, its soft blue glow pulsed slowly, like a quiet heartbeat in the dark. Cole had seen many strange things in this war, but nothing like that pendant. He didn't know what it was made of, but he could feel it wasn't just a memory chip. It had purpose, like it was. Watching or waiting, he stood up and moved to the bunker door. Carefully peeking out, the city ahead was nothing but bones, towers broken. Lights dead, drones still flew across the sky, but fewer now. They were searching wider, slower. Maybe trying not to look desperate, Cole closed the door again and turned to Nija. She stirred, then sat up slowly, blinking at him with sleepy eyes. "Morning, little star," he whispered. She gave a small smile, then touched her pendant again. "Tara," she said softly. Cole nodded. "Your mother." She looked at him, then nodded back. Her eyes a little sad. She touched the glowing stone and tilted her head, like asking a question. Cole knelt beside her. "You want to show me something?" She tapped the stone 3 times, and this time the glow changed deeper, stronger. A new image appeared in front of them, larger than before. It wasn't just a recording this time, it was a map. Stars, planets, blinking paths, routes between systems. Then came a symbol, pulsing in the center, shaped like a flower made of light. Naya pointed to it, then to her chest. Cole frowned. You are the key to that place." She nodded slowly. He stared at the image, watching as symbols lit up text he didn't understand, but some of it translated itself automatically. Running through his armor system, words appeared on his HUD, cold and clear. "Starchild. Protocol Alpha vault access only, biological key required." Cole sat back, shocked. He looked at Nija again. "You're not just a survivor," he whispered. "You're something more." The map faded slowly, the pendant dimming back. Too soft blue. Nisha looked afraid now, like she had revealed too much. Cole shook his head gently. "It's okay, I'm still with you." He stood and began packing supplies again. They couldn't stay here anymore if the pendant was tracking anything. Someone would find them. He didn't understand half of what he saw, but he understood this. The galaxy wanted what she had, and maybe she was the last piece of something big, maybe even dangerous. They moved at dusk, avoiding roads, slipping through ruined alleys and fallen domes. Cole planned to reach an old human relay station near the outer ridge, if he could reactivate it. He might find help or at least answers. Naya stayed close to him, no longer needing to be carried. She held his hand tightly, her little feet quiet against the broken stone. Every now and then, she would whisper words to herself. Cole guessed it was her mother's language, maybe prayers, maybe memories. When they reached the relay station, it was half buried in rubble. Cole cleared the entrance and led her inside. The walls were cold metal, the lights dead, but the structure still strong. He powered up a small generator and watched as lights flickered to life. Old screens lit up, dust dancing in the beams. Cole connected his helmet to the station, hoping for something, anything. Then a message came through, encrypted, human, military level. It repeated one line again and again. "Subject identified, Dalian key must be secured, use all force necessary." Cole's face went pale. They weren't trying to help the girl. They were trying to capture her, or worse. His own people had betrayed the idea of rescue. He turned off the screen quickly and looked at Nija. She was watching him quietly, her pendant glowing again. She didn't need translation, she had understood. Cole walked over, knelt beside her, and placed both hands on her shoulders. "I won't let them take you," he said softly. "I promise, Nia." She leaned forward and hugged him tightly. Not because she was weak, but because she believed him. He closed his eyes, holding her. Close, a soldier and a child standing in the middle of a war neither of them started. But now, they were in it together. Later that night, as Cole looked at the stars through the broken ceiling, he thought about the message, about the Alpha Vault, about why the galaxy wanted her. He didn't have all the answers yet, but one thing was becoming clear: Nia was not just a target. She might be the most important life in the galaxy, and he was the only one willing to protect her. Cole watched the silent relay station glow in the dark, its systems humming low. The message from command still echoed in his head, cueing like a slow drumbeat. Subject identified, Dalian key must be secured. Use all force necessary. He sat in the corner of the room, his helmet beside him, his rifle across his lap. Beside him, Nia slept with her back against his side, her small hand clutching his arm. She trusted him now, completely. And that made his chest feel heavy. He had taken many orders before, some easy, some dark. But this was different. This time, he was the one being hunted, not because he broke the rules, but because he kept a promise. A mother's last breath had been her plea, and Cole had answered. And now, the same people he once trusted wanted to take that promise and crush it. The radio flickered again, and a voice came through clear. "Cold Lieutenant Cole, you are ordered to report with the alien child immediately. Extraction team is en route to your location. Do not resist." Cole stared at the speaker, then turned it off without a word. He knew what that meant: no more hiding. They were closing in. He stood slowly and looked at Nia, still sleeping. Peaceful in the middle of this storm, he knelt down, brushed a loose strand of hair from her face. "We have to move," he whispered now. He packed quickly, tossing food, water, tools into his bag. He slung his rifle and lifted Nia into his arms. She stirred, blinking slowly, confused but calm. "Cole?" she asked softly. He nodded. "Yes. We're going somewhere safe." She nodded sleepily, then rested her head on his shoulder. He knew where to go: a resistance shelter hidden deep in the cliffs. Only the old soldiers remembered it. Cole had been there once, years ago, when he was still a recruit. It wasn't on any current maps, which made it perfect, but the journey would be long and dangerous. And watched, they left the station and crossed through ash-covered fields. Drones buzzed above, searching, scanning, hunting. Cole used jammer packs to scramble signals and led them through underground tunnels. At one point, a patrol passed just feet above their heads. Cole pressed Nia to the wall and didn't breathe. She stayed still too, not even whimpering. She had learned well. As night fell, they reached the edge of a destroyed city. Old buildings stood like bones, broken and hollow. Cole stopped for rest and set Nia down beside an old fountain filled with dust. She looked around, her face thoughtful, then asked, "Why?" "Run." Cole looked at her, surprised. She was talking more now, trying to understand. He sat beside her and said quietly, "Because bad people want to take you. People who don't understand you." She looked down, fingers tracing the rim of the fountain. "They think I'm danger." He nodded slowly. "Yes, but you're not," he added. "You're a child." She was quiet for a while, then said, "Mama said, many will fear, but some will protect." Cole felt his heart ache. "Your mama was right," he said softly. "I'm one of those." Suddenly, Scum lit up another message from command. A voice he recognized, this time Captain Rees, a man he had once followed without question. "Cole," the voice said, "we know you're listening. That child is not what she seems. She's a weapon. She's programmed to gain your trust and carry data we can't let fall into enemy hands. Bring her in, Cole, or we'll consider you compromised." Cole stared at the device in silence. His fingers hovered over the button, but he never pressed it. He looked at Nia, who was now drawing stars in the dust with her finger. She wasn't a weapon, she was a child who lost everything. And in her eyes, he had become her whole world. Cole stood up and crushed the cum under his boot. Metal cracked, sparks flickered, and the voice went silent forever. He looked up at the sky, stars blinking cold and far. "I'm done taking orders," he whispered. "From now on, I protect her." They traveled through the night. Reaching the outer cliffs before sunrise, the shelter was still there, buried, hidden, untouched. Cole opened the entrance with an old code, the door grinding open. With a deep groan, inside was dark, dusty, but safe. He brought Nia in and sealed the door behind them. As they sat together in the dark, Cole finally let out a breath. He had turned his back on everything: his command, his duty, his past. But somehow, it didn't feel like a loss. It felt like a choice, and maybe, just maybe, it was the right one. Nia leaned against him, her voice soft and sure. "Thank you." Cole looked at her, surprised. She was learning fast, speaking more. "Growing stronger, always," he replied. "I'm not going anywhere." The mountain shelter was dark, cold, and quiet, but it was safe for now. Cole had sealed the steel door behind them and checked every hallway. Most of the lights were dead, but emergency systems still worked. He powered up a small terminal, its blue glow lighting the dust in the air. Nia sat beside him, her hands holding a warm cup. Eyes watching every move, Cole tapped on the screen, searching for a way to connect, somewhere deep in the system. Was a long-range cum reliable, but powerful if he could activate it. Maybe he could tell the truth to someone who would listen. The truth about Nia, about her mother's message, about what the galaxy was doing, but the signal would need power. And powering the array would light up their location. He knew what that meant. The second he pressed send, they would come. Nia looked at him, her small voice quiet. "Why?" "Tell them." Cole looked down at her, then at the screen. "Because they need to see," he said. "Not just the ones who want to hurt you, but the people. There are still good ones out there." She was silent, then nodded slowly. She pulled her pendant off her neck and handed it to him. "You use," she said. "Show them, Mama." Cole took the glowing stone and nodded. "Let's make sure she's heard." He connected the pendant to the terminal, and it glowed brighter. The system responded immediately, unlocking the hidden files stored within. Not just a message, but coordinates, star charts, records of peace talks, and one final video, labeled only as Last Hope. Cole opened it and watched as Nia's mother appeared on screen again. Her voice was calm, her eyes steady as she spoke. "If you are seeing this," she said, "I am gone, my child. Nia is the key to rebuilding peace between our people. She carries encoded DNA that proves our species are not enemies, but connected. Protect her, and protect the future. She is not a weapon, she is a bridge." Cole stared at the screen, heart pounding. They were not afraid of her because she was dangerous. They were afraid of what she represented: hope, truth, unity. He turned back to Nia, who was staring at her mother's face, lips trembling. Then, without a word, she hugged Cole tightly. "I promise," he whispered. "I'll show them everything." He activated the transmitter, the machine humming as it came to life. He uploaded the full video, the maps, the truth. Then he switched on the signal and hit broadcast. A beam of light shot into the sky, piercing clouds and alerting satellites above. For one small moment, across thousands of screens, the galaxy saw Nia's mother speak. But then, the alarm blared inside the shelter. Multiple hostiles incoming. Fast. Cole grabbed his rifle and looked at Nia. "They're coming," he said. You stay here, no matter what. She shook her head, her eyes full of fear. No, she whispered. You stay too. He knelt beside her, his voice low but strong. I have to hold them back, he said. You are the future. Me. I'm just the shield. She reached into her pocket and handed him a tiny metal disc, her pendant's twin. Use this, she said. Mama said it helps. He took it, unsure what it did, but nodded. Then he kissed her forehead gently and stepped out into the hallway. The outer door exploded before he reached it. Smoke filled the corridor as armored boots stormed in. Red visors glowing, Cole raised his rifle and opened fire. His shots sharp and deadly. He fought like a soldier who had nothing left to lose. The attackers expected a scared fugitive, not a trained killer guarding a child. He used every trick. He knew smoke, traps, terrain. He moved through the halls like a ghost, silent and fast, but they kept coming. And he was only one man. A bullet ripped through his side. Another hit his leg, but he kept moving, kept fighting, kept protecting in the control room. Neja crouched beside the screen. She watched the broadcast signal complete, 100% uploaded. The galaxy had seen it, and now the truth was out. Then the screen flickered an incoming message, a human voice, a woman's voice, full of shock and sorrow. We see you, she said. We're coming. Just as more gunfire echoed through the bunker, the screen went black. Nia clutched the pendant to her chest. She whispered softly, over and over, protect. Protect. In the final corridor, Cole fell to one knee, breathing hard, blood soaking his armor. The attackers stood before him, weapons raised, but then a new sound came, a ship overhead. Powerful and loud, the roof trembled, and a new light filled. The bunker backup had arrived not from command, but from people who saw the truth. The attackers turned too late, taken down by energy blasts from above. Cole collapsed as arms reached for him. Voices shouting, and Neja ran toward him, tears falling. I kept the promise, he whispered, just before everything faded to black. Light returned slowly, soft and golden, touching Cole's eyelids like a warm hand. He opened his eyes, blinking against the brightness, confused by the silence. No gunfire, no alarms, no cold metal walls. Just the sound of birds, wind through trees, and distant water running over rocks. He was lying on a bedreel, soft, clean. Not a soldier's cot, not a field blanket. Machines blinked beside him, quietly monitoring his vitals. His chest ached, his leg throbbed, and his side burned, but he was alive. Then he felt a small hand in his. Warm and familiar. He turned his head slowly, and there she was, Neja. Sitting in a chair beside him, fast asleep, her face peaceful, her fingers wrapped tightly around his own. Refusing to let go even in sleep, Cole stared at her for a long moment, his throat too tight to speak. He had done it, somehow. He had kept her alive, against soldiers, machines, and betrayal. He had kept the promise her mother had whispered with her last breath. The door opened softly, and a woman in a white coat entered. She saw Cole awake and smiled gently. You're lucky, she said quietly. You were almost gone when they brought you in. Cole's voice was rough, dry, but steady. Neja? He asked, nodding toward the girl. The doctor smiled again. She never left your side. She stayed awake for days, holding your hand. She only slept when we told her you would survive. Tears touched the corners of Cole's eyes. But he blinked them away. He had been a soldier all his life, but now, in this quiet room, with that little girl beside him, he felt something he hadn't known in years. Peace. Later that day, they walked together under the open sky. Cole leaned on a cane, his body still weak. Nia walked beside him, holding his arm tightly. They were on a green planet, far from the war zone. A neutral zone where survivors were safe, Word had spread quickly. The broadcast had reached thousands of systems. Millions had seen Nie's mother speak. They had seen the pendant, the message, the truth, and something changed. People, human and alien, began asking questions. Why was a child hunted? Why were old lies used to fuel war? Why did it take a dying mother and a single human soldier to show the truth? Naija became more than just a survivor. She became a symbol of hope. They called her the Star Child of Peace, and Cole. They called him the Protector. He didn't like the title, but he accepted it, because it reminded him of the promise he made and the little life he had saved. One day, while watching the sunset together, Nia looked up at him. Her voice was stronger, now, clearer. Do you miss fighting? She asked softly. Cole looked out at the horizon, where birds flew in golden light. No, he said. I think I was always meant to protect, not destroy. She smiled, then leaned against him. You protected me. She said, like Mama asked. He nodded. I gave her my word, and I keep my word. In the months that followed, Nia grew. Quickly, she learned to read, to speak fluently, to lead. But she never left Cole's side. He became more than her protector. He became her father. Together, they spoke at councils, met leaders, shared her mother's message. Cole never liked politics. But when Naija stood beside him, he found the strength to speak, because every word she said was born from truth, and every word he spoke was backed by the life he nearly gave for her. One night, as stars filled the sky above their home, Nia sat beside the old fire pit, holding the pendant in her hands. She turned to Cole and asked, Do you think Mama sees us? Cole looked up at the stars, then back at her. Yes, he said. And I think she's proud of you, and thankful to you, Naija added. He smiled. No thanks needed. She asked me to protect you, and I did the best I could. Silence filled the air, gentle and calm. Then Nia said, And now, I'll protect others. Like you protected me. Cole reached over and placed his hand on her shoulder. You already are, he said. And so, on a quiet world, far from war and death, a child of stars and a human soldier built a new future. Not through weapons or power, but through a promise kept, a bond formed, and a truth shared. The galaxy would never be the same. Because a dying mother whispered, Protect my child, and the human did.